If you are selling a house right now, or, like even just thinking about it, there is a 99% chance you are obsessing over a number that is actively lying to you.
Oh, absolutely. It is wild how much power we give this one little metric.
Right. You are probably watching the days on market tick up like some sort of, I don't know, public doomsday clock. It just sits there on every real estate app, spearing back at you.
And it creates this completely false narrative, a narrative that causes just an unbelievable amount of unnecessary stress for anyone trying to navigate the housing market today.
Yeah, it really does. So today's deep dive is designed to hopefully rescue you from that exact stress. We are unpacking a genuinely fascinating source text today. It's called The Showings Metric, Decoding Real Estate Activity Beyond Time.
Such a great read.
It really is. And our mission today is to uncover exactly why the most popular real estate stat is actually a massive trap, and more importantly, what metric truly acts as like a secret decoder ring for understanding actual buyer behavior.
Yeah, we are looking at a complete paradigm shift here. The goal is to move you away from passive panic and really give you the tools for a more active, data-driven strategy.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Before we can reveal that decoder ring, we need to completely deconstruct the villain of our story here.
The villain being days on market, or DOM.
Exactly. We need to look at why this metric that distracts absolutely everyone is so uniquely harmful to a seller's mindset.
Well, the source text is actually very empathetic to why people fixate on days on market. I mean, nobody wants their home sitting for months on end.
No, of course not.
It is a really vulnerable process. You are putting your personal space, your home, up for public consumption. So when that number climbs to 30 or 60 or 90 days, it feels like a collective judgment from the entire market.
Oh, it feels like a very public failure.
Right.
Like you drive past a house with a faded for sale sign, or you see a listing with a massive days on market number, and the immediate involuntary thought is always,
What is structurally wrong with that place?
yes. Like, did someone get murdered in the basement?
Mm-hmm.
But the text argues that this number tells a terribly incomplete story. It is just fundamentally flawed.
Right, and the flaw lies in the actual mechanics of what it measures. The core thesis of our source material points out something so simple that we usually just overlook it. Days on market exclusively measures time.
Just time.
Just time. It tells you the duration a property has been available.
Yep.
It completely fails to tell you the actual why behind the lack of a sale.
I want to visualize this
Yeah.
because the text gives us a great 60-day scenario that really drives this home.
Oh yeah, the 3 houses.
Right. So let's say we have 3 different houses all sitting on the market for exactly 60 days. House number 1 sits for 2 months because the seller got a little greedy and priced it, say, $50,000 above what any reasonable person would ever pay.
A classic pricing error. Happens all the time. But then look at house number 2. It sits for the exact same 60 days, priced perfectly, but buyers walk through the front door and just absolutely hate the layout.
Oh, like a really weird floor plan.
Exactly. Like, they have to walk through the primary bedroom to get to the only bathroom in the house.
Oh, that's the worst.
Right. So the price is theoretically correct, but the floor plan is functionally obsolete for modern buyers.
And then you have house number 3. It sits for 60 days because the listing photos look like they were taken on like a flip phone from 2004.
Oh, the blurry photos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are dark, they're blurry. There's like a pile of laundry on the couch in the living room shot.
And the critical takeaway from the text here is that the days on market statistic treats the overpriced house, the dysfunctional layout house, and the poorly photographed house as the exact same phenomenon.
Yeah, the metric just outputs the same number, 60.
Right. 60 days for 3 radically different root problems.
It's crazy. Watching days on market is basically like staring at the digital timer on an oven without actually looking through the glass door.
I love that analogy.
Down to the second, how long the cake has been in there, you're just watching those red numbers count down. But because you refuse to turn on the oven light, you have absolutely no idea if the cake is baking perfectly, or if the batter hasn't even risen, or if the entire thing is currently engulfed in flames.
Right. The timer gives you a quantitative measurement, but zero qualitative data. You just cannot make a baking decision based solely on a timer if the temperature is wrong.
So if it is so fundamentally broken as a diagnostic tool, why is it front and center on every single real estate website? Like, why do the apps push it to the very top of the screen?
What's fascinating here is the role of human psychology in interface design. App developers, the big real estate portals, they know that humans naturally gravitate toward the simplest possible measurement.
And time is universal.
Exactly. Time is universal. A buyer doesn't need a degree in macroeconomics to understand that a big number means the listing is stale and a small number means it's fresh. The portals use it because it creates urgency for the buyers.
Buy it now before it's gone.
Right. But for the seller, time without context creates a vacuum.
Yeah.
And human beings, well, we fill vacuums with
One
anxiety.
more time. The seller is just sitting at the kitchen table every morning thinking, day 45, day 46, why doesn't anyone want my house?
Which is a terrible headspace to be in.
Yeah, which means we need to transition away from the oven timer. If measuring time doesn't explain buyer behavior, we need a metric that actually measures human reaction. The real decoder ring from the source text.
Showings.
Actual human beings walking through the physical front door.
Exactly. According to the source material, showings are the immediate feedback loop. They provide tangible insight into how the market is actively responding to the property.
It's actual data.
Yes, instead of a passive clock ticking away on a server somewhere, a showing is an active measure of market interest.
So let's get into the mechanics of how this decoder ring works in practice. The text gives us these highly contrasting scenarios that sellers often find themselves in. Scenario A is what I'm calling the ghost town.
The ghost town, yeah.
You list the house, and nothing happens. The source defines this specifically as receiving fewer than one showing per week.
And let me tell you, the silence in that scenario is just deafening for a seller.
I bet. But let me play devil's advocate for a second here. If a house is a complete ghost town, isn't that just a failure of marketing? Like, if nobody is coming, maybe the agent took terrible photos or they forgot to syndicate the listing to the big websites. Maybe the buyers literally do not know the house exists.
The source text actually anticipates that exact defense mechanism. Sellers always want to blame the marketing first.
Naturally.
But the text includes a crucial caveat here. We are talking about a well-marketed property receiving fewer than one showing per week. We have to look at the digital footprint.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, if the listing has hundreds or even thousands of views online, if it is being saved and shared by users on the apps, then the marketing is working perfectly. The world definitely knows the house exists.
So the digital pipeline is full, but the physical pipeline is empty.
Precisely. That is the defining characteristic of the scenario. If buyers are looking at the digital listing and actively choosing not to schedule a physical tour, the market is sending a loud, undeniable message.
And what is that message?
They have looked at the location, they've analyzed the photos, they read the specs, and then they looked at the price tag. And the conclusion they are reaching is that the asking price fundamentally does not match the value being presented.
Wow. So it is a pricing problem. Pure and simple.
Right. They evaluated the value proposition from the comfort of their couch, and they decided it wasn't even worth burning the gas to go see it in person.
Ouch.
Yeah. The digital curb appeal was completely neutralized by the sticker shock. 0 showings essentially means the market has immediately rejected your price.
Which is a brutal reality to face, but you need to know it on day 7, not day 70. Now, if 0 showings equals a massive pricing problem, then it is incredibly easy to assume the opposite is true. Like, if my house is packed with buyers, if the open house is an absolute zoo, I must have priced it perfectly, and a bidding war is imminent.
That's what everyone thinks.
Right. But the text warns us about a scenario where high traffic is actually a giant red flag.
Yes. It is a paradox that causes even seasoned sellers to make catastrophic mistakes.
Let's talk about scenario B, the revolving door. The text breaks down a home getting 5 or 6 showings every single week.
Which is a lot.
It's huge. Strangers are constantly walking through the living room. The seller is frantically hiding laundry and leaving the house every evening so another couple can tour it. But week after week goes by and 0 offers materialize.
Yeah. 5 or 6 showings a week is exceptionally high traffic.
Yeah.
And that metric confirms 2 things definitively. First, the marketing is flawless.
Obviously, they're showing up.
Right. And second, the theoretical price is compelling. The price point combined with the online photos was attractive enough to get 5 different families to leave their own homes, coordinate with a real estate agent, and physically drive to your property.
Okay, so the market accepts the price, in theory.
In theory. But something catastrophic is happening between the moment they cross the threshold and the moment they leave. The text lists 5 specific non-price issues that kill the deal in a revolving door scenario.
I really want to spend time on these 5 culprits because we need to understand how a seller actually figures out which one is ruining their sale. Like, what are buyers actually rejecting?
Okay, so culprit number 1 is the floor plan or layout. A house might have the right square footage, but it just flows terribly.
Oh, like things you can't feel in a 2D floor plan online.
Exactly. Like realizing the ceilings in the upstairs hallway are aggressively low, or the dining room feels completely disconnected from the kitchen.
That makes total sense. What's next?
Culprit number 2 is the physical condition. This is the deferred maintenance that the photos magically smoothed over.
Or like the olfactory experience of a home,
Yes.
the lingering smell of 3 large dogs, or the distinct scent of a damp basement. You definitely cannot photograph a smell.
You really can't. And that brings us to culprit number 3, which is probably the most common in the modern era. A glaring mismatch between the in-person reality and the highly edited online photos.
Oh man. Here is where it gets really interesting to me. Reading this specific culprit, I realized this entire dynamic is exactly like modern online dating.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Think about the psychology here.
Yeah.
The real estate photos are the dating app profile. The wide-angle lens, the HDR lighting that makes the tiny living room look like a sun-drenched cathedral. The house got the swipe right.
Right. That is why they scheduled the showing.
Exactly. The showing is the first date.
The showing is the coffee date.
Yes. But when the buyer walks in, they realize they have been catfished by a house.
Yeah.
The kitchen is half the size it looked online. The natural light was entirely artificial.
They feel completely deceived.
And the psychological damage here goes way beyond just being disappointed by a small kitchen. When a buyer feels deceived by the photos, they lose trust in the seller. They subconsciously start wondering, if they lied to me about the size of the master bedroom using a camera trick, what else are they hiding?
Is the roof caving in? Is the foundation cracked?
Exactly.
That speaks to the deeper psychological issue beautifully. The deception kills the trust, and without trust, nobody is writing a $500,000 check.
Nope.
And culprit number 4 reinforces this. Outdated finishes or features. The photos might have made that 1990s brass chandelier look cool and vintage, but in person, the buyer just sees a massive, expensive remodeling project.
Yeah, they start doing mental subtraction right there in the hallway. Okay,
Yeah.
$20,000 for a new kitchen, $5,000 to scrape these popcorn ceilings.
Precisely. And the final culprit is competition. They might tour your house, experience all those minor disappointments we just talked about, and then walk 2 blocks over to tour a competitor's house that presents flawlessly.
Wow. So we have this revolving door, let's say 20 showings in a month, no offers. The days on market clock is ticking up to 30, 45, 60 days. The anxiety is peaking.
The seller is panicking.
Right. The seller calls their agent in a panic and says, "Drop the price. We've been sitting here forever."
And that is exactly where the source material drops its most counterintuitive piece of advice. In a high-traffic, no-offer situation, lowering the price is almost always the wrong move.
Wait, hold on. Stop right there. You were telling me my house has been sitting for 2 months, 20 different people have walked through my living room, literally nobody wants to buy it, and I am supposed to keep the price high.
I know it sounds crazy.
That sounds like a recipe for letting a listing rot on the market until the end of time.
Yeah.
How does keeping the price the same fix the problem?
Well, if we connect this back to the bigger picture of your dating analogy, the logic holds up perfectly.
lay it on me.
If you are going on 5 first dates a week, but nobody wants a second date because you are misrepresenting yourself, lowering your standards for a partner doesn't fix the fact that you are a bad date.
Oh, wow. That's harsh but fair.
Right. In real estate, a price drop doesn't eliminate the smell of the damp basement. A price drop doesn't fix a fundamentally broken floor plan.
Because the market already told us they accepted the price. That's why they showed up for the first date in the first place.
Exactly. The barrier to entry isn't the price. The barrier is the product presentation. The text states that dropping the price in a revolving door scenario just signals desperation to the market.
It's like a neon sign saying, "We give up."
Yeah, and it invites lowball investors. The actual solution requires rolling up your sleeves. You have to gather data to find out which of the 5 culprits is killing your deal.
But how does a seller actually do that? Do they hide in a closet and listen to the buyers talk during the showing?
Honestly, some probably try. But no, the text notes that experienced real estate agents are actively managing this feedback loop. They aren't just unlocking doors and standing there.
What are they doing?
They track dwell time. Does a buyer walk in, look around for 3 minutes, and sprint for the door? Or do they stay for 45 minutes measuring walls for furniture?
Yeah.
And then the agent calls the buyer's representative the next day and pushes for brutal honesty.
Like, what specifically held your client back from writing an offer?
Exactly. So if the feedback comes back that the dark hallway and the outdated carpets are turning people off, the solution isn't a $20,000 price drop.
Right, because that doesn't fix the carpet.
No. The solution is taking the house off the market temporarily, spending $3,000 on fresh paint, and tearing up the carpet and fixing the actual objection.
Wow. You diagnose the disease instead of just masking the symptoms?
Spot on. Showings provide the diagnostic data long before an offer fails to arrive. They definitively categorize your listing as having a pricing problem, a presentation problem, or a market positioning problem.
This completely rewires how you manage a listing. Which really brings us to the final section of our text. Now that we know how to read the decoder ring, how do we use this before the panic even sets in? Let's look at the proactive seller's playbook.
The first step is a fundamental shift in mindset. A seller really must abandon the passive idea of simply getting the home on the market and just waiting to see what happens.
Hoping for the best.
Right. The new goal is to engineer the right level of buyer activity and actively interpret the data that activity generates.
And doing that requires time. The source text offers advice for homeowners that feels, honestly, shockingly early. It argues that the key to eliminating the stress of selling is starting the conversation a year or two in advance.
Yeah, homeowners who experience the least amount of anxiety are the ones who begin planning well before they have a definitive timeline to move.
But what does a 2-year plan actually look like? If you are sitting in your living room right now thinking, I might want a bigger yard in 2028, what are you practically doing today? You're not packing boxes. You're not putting a sign in the yard.
A proactive 2-year plan involves establishing a baseline. You start monitoring your specific neighborhood's showing metrics.
Oh, getting a feel for the local rhythm.
Exactly. You find an agent who can tell you not just what houses sold for, but how many showings it took to get that contract.
That's smart.
And you invite an expert over to point out the deferred maintenance, the scuffed baseboards, the overgrown landscaping, and then you fix those cosmetic issues slowly over 18 months, rather than in a frantic 2-week panic before the photographer arrives.
So you are basically getting a pre-inspection for your presentation, finding the hidden flaws that will ruin the first date before the buyer ever sets foot in the house.
You are neutralizing the 5 culprits before the property ever hits the market. By understanding how the showing feedback loop works today, you insulate yourself from the panic of the days on market clock tomorrow.
You take back control.
Exactly. You are building a bulletproof strategy based on human behavior, not just staring at an oven timer.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. We have completely flipped the script on how to watch a real estate listing. Let's just recap the journey we took today.
It's been a ride.
We started by dismantling the villain. Days on market. We learned that DOM is just a ticking clock. It tells you the duration of the listing, but it gives you absolutely zero context as to why it hasn't sold. It measures time, not intention.
And then we replaced that flawed metric with the actual diagnostic tool, showings. Showings are the active conversation you are having with the buyer pool.
Right. If you have a well-marketed house but 0 showings, the market is loudly rejecting your price.
But if you have a revolving door of buyers with 0 offers, the market accepts your theoretical price, but is firmly rejecting your physical presentation.
The swipe right versus the bad first date. So for you listening right now, the takeaway is crystal clear. Whether you are a month away from listing or a year or 2 out from a potential move, the time to start strategizing and understanding how your home will actually present to the market is right now.
Don't wait for the doomsday clock to start ticking.
Exactly. Don't wait to figure out your strategy.
This does raise an important question, though. A final thought to consider based on everything we've unpacked today regarding the disparity between online photos and physical reality.
Oh, okay. Lay it on us.
Well, if 5 or 6 showings a week result in absolutely no offers because the physical home inevitably fails to live up to the digital fantasy, it really forces us to look at how we market properties today.
How so?
By hyper-polishing our online presentation, using the widest lenses, editing out all the blemishes, saturating the colors just to get people to click, are we actually creating our own biggest obstacle to closing the deal?
Oh, wow. Selling a fantasy that reality simply cannot cash.
Exactly.
By trying to win the internet, you pretty much guarantee you lose the physical sale. That is definitely something to chew on next time you are swiping through completely flawless, sun-drenched living rooms online.
Keep that in mind.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Next time you open up a real estate app, don't just look at how long a house has been sitting there. Try to look at your local housing market through this entirely new lens and ask yourself, what is the market actually saying? We'll catch you next time.